We are seeing new cases of coronavirus soar to record highs in the U.S., causing growing concern as we near Thanksgiving. Since the start of the pandemic, more than 12.4 million Americans have tested positive for COVID-19. The latest surge has caused the CDC to issue dire warnings about the impact Thanksgiving could have on the ongoing battle to contain the deadly virus. The agency is urging Americans to avoid travel for the holiday altogether. Officials there say Thanksgiving should be celebrated with people living in the same household over a complete 14-day quarantine period. Despite these warnings, TSA workers reportedly screened more than 3 million people between Friday and Sunday. This is the busiest three-day stretch the airports have seen since the pandemic began back in March. As long lines were seen in airports across the country for the first time in 9 months, as Americans move forward with their Thanksgiving plans. Joining me now is Roger Dow. He is the president and CEO of the U.S. Travel Association. Roger, welcome. As we mentioned, the CDC is urging Americans to stay home ahead of Thanksgiving. However, the TSA is reporting, more than 3 million Americans traveling through airports this past weekend. It seems almost as if the dam has burst, that, despite the fact that health officials have been warning people about the dangers of traveling during this time, there is a fair amount of pent up anxiety or desire to see family members that's kind of coming through this holiday weekend. Do you think that health officials did enough to warn people, or do you think there simply wasn't anything that they could do?
Well, I think what happened, Tanya, is a couple of weeks before, many Americans through the pandemic had changed their plans. We got research that about 30% that were going to travel had already decided not to. Those that plan to travel have stuck with it. We're watching very carefully, and we're not seeing cancellations. In fact, numbers are going up the past couple of days.
Very interesting. So, we know the coronavirus originated in Wuhan, China, and rapidly became a pandemic in part because of airline travel. We're currently experiencing these surging numbers of new cases on a nationwide scale. How are airlines working to prevent further spread of the virus as Americans begin this massive trek home for the holidays?
The airlines are doing a very good job, and not because I'm with the travel industry, but the facts are that you're extraordinarily safe. They use HEPA filters like a hospital operating room, the 99% safe, very, very safe, safer than the grocery store. And again, not because I'm the travel industry, but they're just doing their part to do everything, sanitizing between flights, using foggers, and every single flight sanitizing and keeping people apart. So they're doing everything they can, and it's probably the safest mode of travel that we have.
What do you think about driving, though? AAA estimates as many as 50 million Americans will travel by car or plane in the days leading up to Thanksgiving, only slightly down from the 55 million Americans who traveled last year. Why do you think so many people are still willing to make these trips despite the dire warnings? And if you had the choice between flying and driving, which would you choose?
Okay. First, what we're seeing is something we're calling pandemic fatigue. And we have to be very careful that Americans don't let their guard down. The travel industry is doing everything we can, and they have to do the same thing. Masks, distancing, washing your hands, all of that. But I think the reason that people are traveling is because they've experienced it and it's safe. I would travel either way. I just flew for Thanksgiving to visit my family the other day, and everything was fine. Most people drive, though. It's probably 48 million are going to drive, and about 2.5 million are going to fly. Now, flying is down 60% from last year. Driving is only going to be down about 4 or 5%.
So, the airline industry is expected to take the biggest hit ahead of Thanksgiving. 50% fewer people are projected to fly this year, with tens of thousands of airline employees still out of work. What do you think this latest hit could mean for the airline industry as a whole? We know it's been struggling.
We do a lot of research, and the latest research we did was just this weekend. A Destination Analyst does it, and basically 62% of the people agree with stronger protocols in place in the States, but the people who say they're not going to travel is about 54% right now. In April it was 69%, July was 61%. So I think people are getting used to the protocols. The industry is being smart on all they're doing, and the travelers are being smart. And I think we both work together. We can get this thing behind us, but still move about.
Let's all keep our fingers crossed that it works out. All right. Well, Roger Dow, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.